Okay, so welcome to the Node.js Technical Steering Committee for September 12th, 2018. We're following our standard agenda. So first of all, we're going to start out with announcements. Matteo, I think you said you had an announcement for us.
Yes, I'm very happy to say that we have an agenda for the Collaborator Summit. So I published this last Saturday morning, European time, so you might have not seen the notification or anything. There is, the agenda is published, so I want to remember that the Collaborator Summit will be in Vancouver after Node.js Interactive, and it will start on October 12th at 1 p.m. And we'll have Alpha Day from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. on day one of October 12th. And then we have day two starting from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. The agenda is packed. Note that there is, on the day two, there is breakfast from 8. So in fact, you can be there at 8 and we can have some breakfast together. You will have to register and stuff like that, but you can ask the issue. The issue is Node.js/summit/issues/100.
Can you paste that into the chat, and I'll paste it into.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
Okay.
So
or
yeah,
paste it into it.
If you need, there are still some slots free. So if your team, working group, whatever needs a space, please post it in the issue. Write something in the issue, and maybe open up an issue on your own repo, so that I will have to link. I will link it from the agenda, the main agenda, so you can have your own agenda and links to join remotely and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I added one yesterday that I saw wasn't quite on the agenda yet. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it's I completely missed that. So yeah. Sorry.
yeah, no problem. But just so just letting people know it's still add. If you've got requests, ask them, and I think there's.
Yeah, there is still a lot of space free, so we can get something. We can still schedule us a lot of work. So pretty good.
Sounds good. Any other announcements? No? Okay. Let's move on to the issues tag for TSC agenda. So the next one is the one I put on maybe a little bit late, but nominating Gabriel Schulhoff to the TSC number 578. Gabriel's been attending the last 3 or 4 meetings and has plenty of +1s in the nomination. So I think it's time to do the final vote, I guess. So we have 9 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we have 9. And I think Anatoly said he couldn't make it in the minutes, but also indicated that he would support that. So I guess, Rich, it's half that we need for the final vote in terms of quorum. Okay, so I guess if people can put their +1s in the chat, that would let us conclude on that. Okay, I'm just looking. We've had a few more people join as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So for those who just joined, we were voting on adding Gabriel to the TSC. That's right. So Rich is just doing the count it for us. And so I think we've got one more. So I think that's 10. Okay, so thanks for everybody for participating there. And welcome, Gabriel. Thanks for being willing to dedicate your time and volunteering to participate. And so basically, welcome.
Thanks, guys. It's an honor.
Okay, so let's move on to the next issues in the agenda. The next one is opt-out or opt-in for warnings, number 22587. Last week, it was on the agenda as well. The request was that we all go out and get up to date and comment in the issue itself. I think Rich had opened that one, so I don't know, Rich, if you're able to talk and do that. And sorry, I should have said people before. Okay, so Rich, I think is just typing in the minutes. Sorry, not in the minutes, in the chat. So so Rich says he advocates for closing that one, and here's why. Just waiting. Rich says it's he thinks it's something to determine on a case-by-case basis as opposed to a global, as opposed to saying, well, we always work to do opt-in or opt-out. Rich is also saying that nobody's disagreed in the issue, that with basically Rich and myself had both chimed in with that opinion. So yeah, I think I'd favor closing it as well, unless anybody else has other ideas or objections.
Here we go.
Taking a quick note in the issue, or sorry, in the minutes. I guess I don't hear any objections to closing, so I think we can move forward on that. As always, if you disagree or want to have it reopened, just jump into the issue itself. The next issue on the agenda is how to do feature detection, number 22585. And there's also the related issue 22218. Last time Rich had actually volunteered to try and round up input. So Rich, do you have an update on that case? Okay, so Rich says, hey, let's push that one to next week. Okay. In progress, push to next week. Okay, the next one is on the agenda is buffer runtime deprecate buffer constructor in sync mode. It's number 22584. And there's also actually the related buffer runtime deprecate buffer constructor everywhere by default, which is 21351. And Chalker's been the sort of champion for that one. And unfortunately, we don't seem to have him this week as well. I don't know if anybody else wants to speak to those.
I've been making some progress filing issues and PRs and stuff against a variety of projects which I found are using it. So usage is going down all the time, but I'm not sure if that's enough.
Okay. Are we tracking that anywhere? I wonder if it would be good to have like the ones that there's already been PRs filed against.
Yeah, I need to update. There's a comment. I'll paste it in a second.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I think in general, there doesn't seem to be consensus that either of them should actually move forward now for 11 or or at all necessarily. So I guess it's one of the concerns is, since 11's coming up, if we did want to do something, we'd have to do it quickly. I don't see that there's enough consensus there, but if it's something you want to push forward, it'd be a time to jump in and try and move things forward.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, the only person on the GC who is currently advocating for doing something in Node 11 is, as I understand it, Chalker, and he's not here, so I don't think there's much point in discussing it right now.
Sounds good. Okay, so then we'll move on to the next issues, unless anybody else objects. Okay, unfortunately, the next one is probably similar. It's password hashing API number 21766. And again, that's one that Chalker was pushing forward. So I think I would suggest we roll that over to next week, and unless anybody has anything to add or add to or comment on that one.
I would like to say that if there is no question, I would just not postpone it for next week and ask, can you please formulate a specific question? And until then, not talk about it again during our meetings until there is a specific question being asked.
Okay, let me just look at the bottom to see if... Okay, so I see there's lots of you saying that one, it's not even clear what we would ask on. Okay. I'm going to say, and not clear what the question is. Ask for a specific question and remove from agenda for now. Okay, does that make sense to everybody, to ask in the issue for a specific question and remove it from the agenda for now? Don't hear any opposition to that. Before we move on, Francisca, did you want to bring up that point? Sorry, I can't speak. So if you want me to relay that to everybody. Okay, so yeah, that's a good idea. We'll go through the agenda and then we can come back to that at the end. The next issue is on the agenda is Node TSC. So there's the tracking issue for updating TSC on board meetings, and I know Miles joined along the way. So Miles, do you have an update for us on that front?
Yeah, we had a board meeting last week. I've sent notes to the steering committee. The meeting is available online. The biggest takeaways, give me 1 second, I can dig up my notes, but it was mostly updates around, yeah, give me 1 second. I want to make sure that I'm explicit on this. Thank you for your patience. So we did have some marketing updates and communication updates. I think the biggest stuff that we can talk about was for Node.js Interactive, where registrations are currently, as of last week, it's 637 people, which is 40% higher than the same time the previous year, with 472 of them being first-time attendees. We had some statistics over the registration types in past years, as well as like the talks. So there's 55 breakout sessions, 39% are Node.js specific, 30% JSF specific, and 31% is general and community topics. and there's still work ongoing with the ComCom to program content for a community corner. And the other thing that was brought up was that there is a t-shirt design contest, and I can put the link in the chat. There was a very scientific Twitter poll. It appears that, to my dismay, the first option was the one to win. And there's a Medium article going through, the different t-shirt options that there were in the designs. So that's it to talk about from this one. I believe the next board meeting is going to be running in conjunction with Node+JS Interactive. So I'll have more updates after the next one.
Yeah, one thing about the community corner is we would love to have more diverse representation as we were putting together the community corner content. Not a lot of women volunteered to give presentations, so we would adore anybody who would like to speak. Something was brought up related to the mentor, the mentor program that we were doing. So we're trying to rally a bunch of the awesome people involved in that to present and again, just sort of make more folks feel welcome at our community corner. So thanks, Miles, for giving that update. Does anybody have any questions though?
I think maybe we should finish off the agenda, then we can loop back to an update on Node+JS Interactive. That's okay?
Sure.
Okay. The next one is the strategic initiatives tracking issue number 423. So let's just do a quick look there. Okay, so I don't think we have James today, so no issue to modules. What's up on the modules front? Miles.
So the two biggest things going on the modules front right now, the first is a developer survey that we're currently designing. We have two different tracks for it. We're going through and testing it and have a first pass at the content. I think the hope is to be able to present it at Interactive, potentially during the Collaborator Summit or during the Code and Learn, to get as large of a sample size as possible of developers who care about this. At the same time, we've spun up a new fork called, I believe it was ECMAScript modules, but I'd have to double check the exact name of the fork. And inside of that fork, we're going to do some patching on ES modules itself, and try to come up with what we're defining right now as a minimal kernel, a small subset of features that do not preclude any of the different features that we're talking about. From that, I think we've actually identified some pull requests that we can send back against core. And I'll have an update soon as we reach consensus on what that looks like.
Okay, sorry, I'm just taking notes here. Okay. So on the NAPI front, nothing too new, still focusing on the same testing for Node add-on API, the NPM module. We've got an issue that lists the gaps, also working on getting code coverage, and then we'll be working on filling those out and continuing with evangelization and a focus on async worker. There's been some issues reported against that, what's there already on that front, so working on that as well. OpenSSL evolution, Rod?
Yeah, sorry, finding my mute button again. So 1.1.1 was released this week, just a couple of days ago, or was it yesterday? Which is really big news because that means we can land it hopefully before LTS. So Shieki has done work to get it working on Linux. You can see that the notes, we're tracking this in issue number 18770. We're discussing what is to be done. There's one failing test that Shieki has identified as possibly a problem with OpenSSL. There's a breaking change in the way they do some callbacks. And because of the way we use the BIO interface, we're having some problems with that. But I would expect that to be ironed out pretty soon. And I think Shieki will push forward on supporting the other platforms and hope to get this landed. There is a catch with TLS 1.3. Shieki thinks that I'll just read his quote here. Supporting TLS 1.3 in Node is another story. It needs much more works and would have breaking updates because of changes of info callbacks. And it's TLS state machine and deprecated /new several features for TLS 1.3 and OpenSSL 1.1. So basically TLS 1.3 is significantly different enough that it might cause some pain for us. So unfortunately, unless we can come up with some creative solutions, we may be punting on 1.3 support until Node 11. But getting 1.1.1 into Node 10 is the critical bit to start with. So we'll get updates on that as this evolves. But yeah, so issue number 18770. Shieki has a working branch that he's referenced in there. If anyone wants to try, and we're just poking around with it for now. And that's it.
Can you post the link to that issue? Where?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great.
And just scroll down to the bottom of it because it's a pretty old issue that has been used for active discussion for a while.
Did you paste it in the general chat?
I'm doing that now. Sorry,
okay.
I'm on mobile and navigating through.
Sure.
There we go.
Okay, I'm just going to paste that into the issue, into the minutes.
And that's it.
Okay, that didn't work so well. Okay, next one is thanks for the update workers. Anna.
Nothing to report really, I guess. Maybe next week.
Okay. Okay, error messages, Joey, anything new on that front?
Nothing to report this week.
Okay. Core promise APIs, James, we don't have. Governance, Miles, anything on that front?
I believe that we have some sessions planned for interactive. Rod, do you want to confirm that? Do you know if there's anything that you've proposed or that we have on the agenda? Matteo, you may know something as well.
Nope, not from me. Look, I said, Miles, you weren't in the last meeting, but I said that I think I'm going to remove myself from sharing governance. I think it was possibly a mistake to expand my responsibilities. I probably should be shrinking my responsibilities at this stage because I'm having trouble keeping up. So, and I know you probably don't want this just completely lumped on you, but I just don't think I'm in the best position for it right now.
Not a problem. Matteo, do we have something on the agenda for the Collaborator Summit?
It's TBD by Adam at the minute. So Adam volunteered to run the session. So
okay,
Adam
perfect.
from
I'll reach out to Adam and see if he's okay with me sharing the responsibility on that.
Yeah, you need to talk with him. Like, he proposed the agenda. He said he wants to help run the thing. So seems pretty good thing to do anyway. So having somebody from Concom and from TSC join to running the thing. So yep, totally agree.
Good. Okay, next one is Fiat Currency.
Yes. So our master branch is now on V8 6.9. I opened already the pull request for V8 7.0, and there are a few small issues to fix. It's being tracked in the pull request, which is 22754. Apart from that, we have bigger issues with the current V8 Canary branch. It's currently completely impossible to build it because of changes in the GN5 in the GN file of V8. So we have to port things to JIP, and I don't know who would be able to do that actually. So I'm going to open an issue to find volunteers or experts to do this work.
I would say reach out to Ben Nordhaus if you can. I don't know if you can get a hold of him, but he's been.
Yeah, I'm not sure you'll be able to. He's. It's not saying don't try, but he has been off on personal leave for a while.
Is this something that I myself or maybe Franziska could help with by pinging the V8 team, or is this something that's very much our responsibility now?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess we'd love help, but I think, you know, the V8 team said we're moving over. And I think they'd be hoping that the project would be doing any maintenance. But it'd be good if you talked to them and they were able to help. I guess next step, though, is Targos is going to open an issue to ask for help.
Yes, and I will ping some people from the V8 team.
Is this the first time that there's been changes like this, or is it this the first time they've been complicated?
It's not the first time. Last time Ben was here to do the work.
Yeah.
But I guess it's something that will happen more and more.
Right. Yeah. So we need to ramp up a number of people who can help out on that front. So it sounds like you got the next action in hand. I mean, having said that Ben's been away, I did see him comment on at least one issue yesterday, so he may have some time, but I wouldn't count on it necessarily. Anything else on Fiat Currency?
No.
The one question I saw a comment yesterday, Miles, that you were going to look at to see if we were going to do anything for V8 in 10.x before we go LTS.
Oh yeah, I was specifically just trying to figure out if 6.8 was the version that we were planning to be like the final update for V8 on 10. I just hadn't talked to anyone yet to figure that out.
Okay, so
I can follow up.
Yeah, about that, to do the upgrade to 6.9, we had to make a breaking change to our API. So I don't know if we can do this update without this breaking change.
Okay, well, we'll leave it. I was just curious if you knew it was probably good, something good to have along with the update. But if we don't know yet, we'll just leave it until next time. Okay, so Miles, the last one is Open Web Standards.
Yes, so we've spun up the repo. A handful of people have been nominated and added to the team. We're currently in the process of having some conversations about the particular standards. Just as a side, Michael Franzi has their hand raised, and the attendees. So we're having conversations, the specific ones that are happening right now. Some are around particular proposals and other ones are around how we are to engage in the groups. And then there's a nice big conversation where we're introducing each other. But we're just kind of starting to get spun up and figure out how to best coordinate for these things.
Okay.
May we have a link to the repo, please?
I've put it in the chat. It's Node.js/open-standards.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay, so at that point, let's loop back to an update from Tracy in terms of Node+JS Interactive.
Yeah, thanks. Miles has been awesome at giving some of the numbers and everything like that. As I said before, we would love if anybody knew any folks who come from more diverse backgrounds to present at the community corner. That way other folks can feel included. I think great news on Netflix and TELUS both wanting to sponsor lunch at Collaborator Summit. So that is from Ahmed and from yeah, thank you. That was really terrible. That was a brain fart. Besides that, just wanted to see if anybody had any questions about the conference that I can help answer from the foundation side. Cool. Awesome. Well, things are going really well. And thank you everybody who has volunteered to be a part of it. I will be sending out very soon a volunteer sign-up sheet where we'll be doing Node office hours during that time. In addition to that, Joy was also part of the planning committee and recommended that we do a sort of like a hack session little area. So there will be area for folks on TSC or ComCom who want to work on things to be able to just have some space to do that.
Also, collaborators. It's open to all collaborators.
Yes. It's open to all collaborators who are interested in doing that. And then just a reminder again that we actually do have for the Code and Learn, we have, we're capping it, but we have about 300 people who are going to be attending. So everybody who is attending the conference, please do remember to come as a mentor on that Friday. Yeah, well, we're capping it at 300. So I think it's at 250 or somewhere around there. Yes, it's a lot. So please talk to Rich about signing up if you haven't signed up, or just show up as well. And that's all the updates from our side.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions before we move on? Okay. Then I guess next is question and answer. So let me just take a look. I don't see any questions in the chat. I don't know if anybody, so if you're watching and you have a question, we'll give you a minute or so to ask it before we move on. I don't see any questions, so I think we can move on. So thank you, everybody, for watching and for those who attended. So I'm just going to stop the stream.